I think the first expensive skin that I ever got in the game was probably Lightning Strike. It was one of the first cases, but I think back then skins wasn't that expensive, so I think the first real expensive skin I got was my ruby butterfly knife that I think I waited a year to buy it, and then I said now it's time, and I bought it like only during COVID times. So I think for me that's the most expensive skin I ever decided to buy. It was my ruby butterfly knife. I think that's a hard question to which Christmas gift I would want. I think I would go with the classic one, Dragon Lore, but on the same time I really want that Howl as well. I remember having a Howl many years ago and it was only $100 worth, but yeah, time has changed, right? So I think the Howl became really nice, and I rather prefer that. I'm not playing that much AWP. I think first of all, I think Valve are doing a great job right now to improve the game. I still believe we can improve the movement, having easier bunny jumps and yeah. And the second update would be to have a stable 128 tick. Obviously the sub tick isn't working as intended, so I think that's the two updates I will look at. And then maybe I would in some way look for a new weapon, just to spice things up. I think it's a long time since we kind of got a new weapon in the game. Which weapon, I have no idea, but it's just like changing the meta a bit. I think a weapon that's a little in between an SMG and an AK is, for example, like a new Galil or something. I think that I don't think there's a specific weapon. I don't play that many other FPS games, but I would like a weapon that's strong enough, but in the same category as a FAMAS and a Galil. So you have like a second option in kind of like in a low buy, so you don't have to go MP9 or FAMAS on CT side, for example. A weapon there, we have a third option that could be viable, but we all know when Valve is adding a new gun to the game, it always goes wrong. I think my biggest achievement in my career is very hard. I had so many great moments, great teammates, great teams. Obviously, we never really had a big error or anything in any of my teams, but I think you have to be honest, my biggest achievement has been my longevity. I've been playing on a top level, I've been IGL for so many years in teams that always could compete. So I think right now, that's my biggest achievement, and obviously having that feeling, there is certain tournaments that really kind of decides the legacy of a player, right? So to mind comes the Katowice, the way we won with a stand-in, winning one of the biggest tournaments in the circuit, with JKS playing two different roles. And then I think obviously the major, Antwerpen, is also one of the biggest achievements, being the first international team to win a major and kind of make history that way. I think the past team is so hard. I have so many great players and great names. I think when I look back in time, I would love to play with, for example, Device and Dupree. I think that combo was a lot of fun. I wasn't the best IGL back in days. I learned a lot since that time and in the other teams. So I think those two players I love to play with again. I really had a deep connection, and to this day we still have a good connection when we're talking at tournaments, and it's like almost 10 years ago that we played together, right? So that would be awesome to play with those guys again. So for me, warming up to an official game or practice, I think there's different ways to go with it. I think first of all, I always need a walk in the morning, if it's practice day or it's official day. The walk is to clear my mind, and sometimes with teammates, sometimes alone. That's the first warm-up that's kind of dedicated to my performance. When it comes to practice, obviously, I need to be on point with game plan, so that's my first priority, making sure I understand how the enemies are playing. The second that part is done, then it's warming up, and most of the time the way I warm up is workshop maps and then add some DM as well, right? So I think warming up individually mostly is the lowest priority the day before game, because I need to be clear in my mind. So in that sense, I think I spend more time individually after the game. So if you play a game middle of the day, then I go play more DM in the evening than the morning. So yeah, as an IGL, the mind needs to be clear, it's not the aim. I think when you ask every team, they want to remove a map they don't like, right? So I think the map I would like to remove is vertical. I think it's very boring in that sense. I think a lot of walking on the T side and contacting and kind of doing the same thing over and over again. The map I would like to add is Train. I really enjoyed playing Train for many years. I think it's such a classic map. And I always like to have some maps that heavy CT side or heavy T sided in the map pool that makes it more interesting. So yeah, definitely remove vertical and add Train. Oh, that's what my inventory costs. I think that's a hard question to ask to answer. I know for sure my Bodyfly Ruby is a lot of money worth. So because of that, maybe it's like 35k ish inventory. Maybe I'm completely off, but around that area. When it comes to skins, it's funny. In some way I care, and in some way I don't care. Because in my opinion, skins is like how it feels, the connection of the colors. The colors have to be on point. So if you have two different colors, the gloves and the weapon, it kind of interferes with how you play. But there's nothing better than you get a new AK skin, you feel like, okay, this AK is actually hitting hard. When it comes to knife, I think the most important thing for me is the feeling of when you switch to knife, how it feels. I always like the karambit, the butterfly, but I'm a little bit superstitious. So the problem I have with my Bodyfly Ruby, I like it so much, but every time I use it, it feels like I'm losing an official game. So I'm using it in practice, but official game I have to take it off and use another. So you can say in somewhere the skins matter and somewhat they doesn't, but apparently they matter since I'm switching before official game.